Paxton's incident made Duck very puffed up in the smoke box. He would go on for hours reminding everyone about how his suspicions were correct and how Paxton wasn't worthy of being on Sutter. The engines would always try and change the subject, but Duck was relentless. "I'd much rather he go back to boasting about the Great Western," snorted Henry. "He's even more irritating than James." Edward spoke up before James could retort. "It is rather unfortunate," he sighed, "but he should hopefully stop in a few days." Alice and Mirabelle were experiencing the worst of Duck's behavior. Wherever he went, they followed behind, listening to his twaddle day after day after day. "He's insufferable," whispered Alice one morning. "I don't know how much more I can take." "It's time we took action into our own buffers, dear," replied Mirabelle firmly. "Now listen," she whispered something to Alice. Alice was hesitant, but the moment Duck backed down on them and began his usual tirade, she agreed to Mirabelle's plan. "We'll do it at the top station." Alice and Mirabelle are auto coaches, which means they have a special compartment for a driver to control their engine from. Today, Duck ran to the top station on the branch with Mirabelle in front. This was just what the two coaches wanted. As they approached Arlesburg West, Duck's driver applied the brakes from Mirabelle's compartment. "Now," whispered Mirabelle. The coaches lurched, swayed, and with a loud screech, the train ground to a halt just outside the station. "Ouch!" cried Duck. "What's happened?" The crew inspected the damage. They looked rather anxious. "All that roughhousing from the coaches broke your auto fittings," said Duck's driver at last. "Now we can't release your brakes. I'll have to phone for help." Duck was very cross, but he nearly blew a safety valve when he saw who had come to help. "Absolutely not!" he cried. "Hello, Duck," said Paxton, who had arrived with some coaches. "Sorry to hear your brakes. Your ram broke. Hee. Oh, and why do you have car parts inside you?" Duck said nothing. He just seethed with rage as Alice and Mirabelle giggled to themselves. Paxton was enjoying himself enormously. He was gentle with the coaches, kept to time at every station, and the passengers even stopped grumbling. Duck, meanwhile, had to stay where he was. He didn't like that a bit. Whenever Paxton stopped at the station, he would always tell Duck the news on the branch and try to make friendly banter. "Your branch line is the most beautifulest part of the whole island. The station with the duck is my favorite. I like ducks." Duck ignored him at first, but presently found he couldn't help but warm up to Paxton. By the time Duck was ready to go to the works, he and Paxton were laughing together like old friends. "I'm sorry for almost hitting you with those coaches," sighed Paxton. "I really didn't mean to cause an accident." Duck looked shamefully at his buffers. "Beg pardon, Paxton, but I'm the one who should be apologizing. I thought you only wanted to cause trouble, but I see now that you're nothing like Diesel at all. You're a credit to this railway, and I'm sorry for ever thinking otherwise." Paxton was thankful, but puzzled. "But I am a Diesel, aren't I?" Paxton helped on the Little Western while Duck was being mended. He worked well and became a big hit with passengers, engines, and railway staff. But he was happy when Duck returned and he could go back to the yard. The two engines are now good friends. Duck often gives Paxton friendly advice about shunting, and Paxton always tells Duck the latest news. And sometimes, with the Fat Controller's permission, Duck lets Paxton take Alice and Mirabelle for him while he shunts the yard. That shows you, doesn't it?